We chose to continue to work behind the scenes to try and get India to cooperate with us. Their asks of us was, well, how much do you know? Give us the evidence you have on this. And our response was, well, it's within your security agencies. You should be looking into how much they know. You should be engaging us. No, tell us what you know. Show us the evidence. And at that point, it was primarily intelligence, not hard evidentiary proof. So we said, well, let's work together and look into your security services, and maybe we can get that done.
The Canadian Prime Minister, who is facing flak at home and from India, seems to be tying himself up in knots. Now that he has confessed that he had no proof against India and only intel, the question is, who was the source of his intel? Was it Khalistani terrorist and SFJ chief Gurpatwant Singh Pannu? We are asking this question because the Sikhs for Justice terrorist, who was recently given a platform by Canadian broadcaster CBC News, embarrassed Trudeau further by claiming that his organization has been communicating with the Canadian Prime Minister's office over the last 2 to 3 years and has been providing them information about India's spy network. He also alleged baselessly that his organization informed the Canadian PMO about how Indian High Commissioner Sanjay Verma provided logistics and intelligence support to Indian agents involved in Hardeep Singh Nijjar's killing. Even Canadian MPs are calling on Justin Trudeau to acknowledge the Khalistani threat. Canadian MP Chandra Arya is of the view that Khalistani extremism is growing because of political patronage in Canada. He's also called on the Canadian administration to reassure Canadian Hindus who are feeling concerned, and fearful for their safety in light of the recent events.
As Canadians, we expect our federal government and its agencies to collaborate with other affected countries to protect our citizens. Recent revelations and developments are impacting Canada and India's ability to collaborate on this issue. It is critical that we all recognize the importance of eliminating cross-border threats posed by Khalistani extremism and resume our efforts to address it effectively. The persistence of Canadian Khalistani extremism is rooted in the political patronage these extremists enjoy. Unfortunately, I am yet to hear any politician or government official offer reassurance to Hindu Canadians, many of whom feel concerned and fearful for their safety in the light of recent events.
Now, Time Star has accessed a letter from September 2023 when Khalistani terrorist Gurpatwant Singh Pannu wrote to the Canadian Prime Minister and called for the expulsion of Indian High Commissioner Sanjay Verma. The letter, which goes on to make a series of wild and baseless allegations, goes on to prove that Trudeau administration chose to wage a diplomatic war of sorts with India and put the safety of Indian diplomats at risk at the behest of Khalistani extremist forces. Canadian journalist Daniel Boardman, who called Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's admission a major win for the Indian narrative, has also explained that Trudeau government is rocked by scandals at home and Trudeau himself is very unpopular in all the ratings. He also said that instead of acting against Khalistani forces, Trudeau promotes them.
If you look at the polling, the Liberals are about to get obliterated in any poll. There's an internal caucus revolts right now. There's so many scandals that this Indian scandal will be lost within the noise of the next scandal, which should debut in a week or so. And that's, but a win for India. They didn't come out with hard evidence. They came out with intel, and India gets to stick to its guns. And what's the world going to do? Embargo India? Start a trade war with India while we have the problems of Iran and Russia and the rest of the Middle East to deal with? China? No, it's not going to.
So it's evident now that Canada had no evidence. The Prime Minister himself has admitted that they were acting, or rather making those claims based on intel inputs and not based on any hard proof or evidence against India of India's involvement in Hardeep Nijjar's killing. And now that the Canadian Prime Minister has admitted that, questions need to be asked to all those who were backing Canada without any proof, without any evidence. In fact, we also saw domestic politics here in India intensifying. Several individuals, several politicians, in fact, asking questions to the centre, seeking clarification and an explanation after these allegations were levelled by the Canadian Prime Minister, who has now come out and admitted that there was never any hard proof or evidence against India of its involvement in Nijjar's killing. This was all based on intelligence. Now, despite an admission by Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that his bizarre claim against India was on the basis of intel inputs and not any hard evidentiary proof, there are some within the country who are attempting to malign India in the ongoing diplomatic face-off between India and Canada. Congress Party's MP and former Chief Minister of Punjab, Charanjit Singh Channi, seems to be towing Canadian Prime Minister's line on the existing diplomatic face-off. Casting aspersion on Indian agencies, he said that agencies are involved in the rise of gangsters and India shouldn't run ties with Canada. So we ask, are political compulsions more important than national interest?
ਸਾਡਾ ਹਰ ਦੂਸਰਾ ਚੌਥਾ ਘਰ ਸਾਡਾ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਮੁੰਡਾ ਕੁੜੀ ਕੋਈ ਨਾ ਕੋਈ ਉੱਥੇ ਬੈਠਾ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੇ ਰਿਸ਼ਤੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਹੈ ਸਾਡਾ ਪਿਆਰ ਉੱਥੇ ਹੈ ਹਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਸੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਵੀ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ